let me know if you don't need to review this, but I'd be good to hear it twice, of course, as always. So yeah, so this, right, is what we call our coordinate grid, right? And then, right, we have the horizontal axis, our x-axis, we have the vertical axis, our y-axis. The point where the two axes meet, right, is what we call our origin. So that's 0.00, right? And they're calling it O right here. Okay. And then of course, right, as the values either move to the right or they move right in an upward direction, right, we're going to get positive numbers. Right, and if we move to the left or if we move in a downward way, right, then we have negative. Okay, and so we can see that the quadrant grid has kind of 4 sections to it. They're called quadrants, right? Quad is in 1/4, right? A quarter. Although, hopefully, what do you think? I mean, most people probably think of ATVs, right? Quads like balloons. But still 4, right? And so depending on which coordinate you're in, right? If you're in this top right coordinate, right, both of your values for your x and y are going to be positive, right? And then in the opposite, right, the bottom left, we have only negative values. And then if we're here, we have negative x, positive y. And for over here, we have positive x, negative y. Okay. How's everyone feeling about positive and negative numbers and working with them, adding, subtracting, and stuff? So that's another thing we need to kind of practice and warm up on, just let me know. But
on what now?
Just everyone's feeling comfortable with like negative numbers and positive numbers, adding and subtracting them, multiplying them.
Oh,
yeah.
Like
Just checking because I don't want to go too fast, right? No, it's good. And like I said, I'm probably retreading a road you've already been down, but I just want to make sure this feels good to everyone. And so, of course, the first number in our ordered pair that tells us the location of the point on the grid, right, is our x value. So that's our horizontal value, be it negative or positive, right? So we just basically have a number line here, right? So you're going to locate the x value on the number line, then locate your y value, right? And where the x and y value meet becomes your points. That point is now an ordered pair of x coordinates and y coordinates. So hopefully that feels good. Hopefully no one's lost. It shouldn't be too hard. Okay, so hopefully everyone feels good about all of this language at the top. Eddie, do you have this paper from last Wednesday?
I looked and there's none.
Okay, I'll print one out. Because this will be good reference. Did you look in the binder too? Read it. Oh.
He's getting out. It's good.
Sometimes that's what they're saying, you know.
And one song just fall back what you were.
That's what people commenting, you know, the crowd.
Yeah, that's why this is going to it was July and
Right, I shouldn't be able to.
I just You're on your own. Oh, well, not me, you, not you, I'm talking about actually.
I know you're not talking. I don't feel given up on by you.
And it's funny saying now, it's mine. I'll put the space out. On the first thing that he's gonna ask me is how. Put on your left.
Right.
Okay. I don't know why I'm doing this. Right? But I know.
I always think I can click on it, I'm like, wait, why is my thing messing up this?
And then Lauren and Daniel and Curtis, hopefully you guys have. Let me know if not, and I can put the link in the chat, at least we could open it up. Okay, so cool. So hopefully everyone's feeling, like I said, you know, not only is this language useful for when we're talking and learning, right? But you're gonna see this language on the test. So of course, want you to be confident, right? That you know what they're talking about and wanting you to do. That never feels good when you're like, I have no idea. Numbers.
I'm gonna go over right now in class and stuff, and what I do, like that 1:30.
Yeah, and then I am recording as well, so if you have some time later, you could hop on YouTube and watch, or wherever you can look it up.
And that key thing that you were talking about.
Okay. Let me get you guys working. And yes. All right, Curtis, let me put the link in the chat for you here. So this is gonna open the document for you. So when you click on it, it'll open, and then if you're in the computer lab, hopefully you can print it. And if not, maybe Shannon or Mary can help you. Thanks for letting me know. And then, yeah, if you need me to email it to Shannon, just let me know. Right. So like I said, we're just kind of reviewing. I just want to make sure everyone is feeling good. Hi, Kevin. Were you here on Wednesday? Are you good with logging in, or do you want to sign in on the tablet? I don't think so. No worries. All right, cool. So went through that piece. And so hopefully everyone felt good about, right, not only, right, creating your ordered pairs, but then, right, once you've got your ordered pairs, right, now, right, what is the ordered pair of, or the coordinates of the points? Hopefully everyone's feeling good about that. Looks like you guys got through that piece. Right? So let me know if you, does everyone feel good? Oh, good, thanks. Thanks, Mary. So does everyone feel good about, like, if I gave you a point on the grid that you could write the ordered pair? Does everyone feel okay about that? Yes. So remember that we look at the points just really quickly, right? We look at the points and we need to figure out where it is horizontally first, right? Left or right. And so you can see it's to the left. Where is it? It's at -6. Okay, and then, right, we need to look at the horizontal coordinates. So where does it hit there? It hits at +5, right? So point A is at -6, +5. So definitely you might see this on your progress test, but it's probably not going to be on a GED. It's going to be more complicated than that, but this is the starting point. So hopefully everyone feels good about this starting point, because we're definitely going to be talking a lot about points. We're definitely going to need them, okay, in order to do a lot of calculating. And so need to get really comfortable seeing these ordered pairs and knowing what they signal. They signal an X coordinate and a Y coordinate so that we can locate it on our grid, okay? If it's not feeling right. Okay, so I think we did okay on that. Okay, so of course, right, once we know at least 2 points, although 3 is a lot better, okay, but at least 2, okay. So we draw a line through the points, okay, and extend the line to the edge of the grid. And this goes into super like abstract geometry theory. If you ever took geometry and didn't like regress it all. Anyway, like lines, you just imagine that they go on forever. So that's why they need to touch the end. That's why they have these little arrows, because really, right, the line continues out in both directions pretty much forever. So we could even find points that are greater than, right, -5 or greater than +5, right? We could find, and I think that's actually one of the GED questions where you have to like look at the line and then extend it past. So it is good to kind of think of it that way. Okay, think of the line, it's just an everlasting, amazing, like out in space, moving on forever. Anyway, sorry to get too moving here. Okay. So the other important thing that we want to talk about here is this language of the intercepts. Okay, right? And so inter means between. Okay. So it just really means where it's crossing. I'm not sure if intervening between is going to help us there, but okay. So usually the lines that we're going to be dealing with are going to intersect and cross, right? Both our vertical y-axis and our horizontal x-axis, okay? And so here it tells us, right, that the point on the line where it's touching the x-axis, x equals 0. Or sorry, pardon me. I did it backward. Darn it. Sorry, guys. Sorry. The y-intercept is the x equals 0. The x-intercept, y equals 0. And that's what it says here. So read the paper. Don't listen to Rusty Julie, who didn't bring her pencil. Okay, one of those days. Oh yeah, it's Monday. All right, no worries. Okay, we'll talk about that more, but hopefully everyone sees. And so these concepts are going to be helpful. If the line is touching our y-axis, that means x equals 0, right? So our x coordinate is 0. If and or when the line is touching the x-intercept, we know that y equals 0. Okay, and that will come into play. So hopefully everyone is okay with this vocabulary. It makes sense. Okay. And so we've got our lines. So then, right, we move from, so we plotted our points, we've connected our points into a line, and now we can talk about the shape of the line by finding the slope, okay? And so we know that the slope of the line is the change in the y value, right? Up or down between 2 points or 2 parts of the line, and the change in x, okay, the horizontal change. And then, right, we know that a line that goes upward from left to right has a positive slope, right? Like this line here, right? We can also think of it as like increasing if this is more of a data chart. Sorry, guys, I'm over here. Right? And then here we have negative slope, right? We're going downward from left to right. We're going up. Okay, we're going down, but you can see that the left to right is still, you know, happening. It's just the direction. Okay, and then of course, these lines have a pretty steep slope, wouldn't you say? Does anyone want to walk up this incline? I don't. Not right now. Not really ever. Right? That's what escalators are for, right? Okay. So this is going to be a huge component in what we're doing. So whenever we're thinking or talking about our lines, slope is going to be a characteristic that we care about. Intercepts, right, where it's touching the x and y, that's also going to be important, okay? So always be kind of, right, associating and connecting those ideas, okay? And then a little bit of talk here. So sometimes, right, you know, as we can see, right, we would call these diagonal lines. They're straight, but they're not, right, completely vertical or completely horizontal lines. But we know that that's possible, right? We can still plot, you know, and have coordinates and points just like these lines. But when we think about these lines, they have very specific characteristics, right? If our line is horizontal, how does that affect the slope? Well, right, it means that there is a slope of 0. Does everyone agree, or does that feel like it makes sense? Pardon?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, clearly it's not moving up or down, it's just flat. So 0, nothing, no slope to the line, right? But this is kind of the harder one to remember, right? So if it's a vertical line, they want us to describe the slope as undefined, okay? And I guess it just means, and I guess we'll just trust this sentence here. Hopefully this is enough of an explanation. The concept of slope doesn't apply to a vertical line, right? Because it's basically like all slope and nothing else, right? I mean, it's like impossible, right? Because here it makes sense 0 because we're not, right, moving in any direction, right? You can think of the line kind of moving, you know, back and forth and down. So yeah, we just need to know that it's undefined, okay? And so if our slope or if our line has these features, you just have to know something's funky going on. It's not our normal cases like we see up here. And so, can I text it to you? Yes, and I will write it down next. Thank you.
Thank you.
Teresa.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. See you around. Okay. Kevin, did you get the essential ed information or that was emailed to you for online lessons? Did you ask? No. Okay. Okay. All right. Cool. Okay. So. So here's where we left off, but I so does everyone feel okay, or do you guys feel like we need to practice and review what we just kind of talked through together? Are you ready to just continue? Okay, Curtis, Danielle, feeling good about this stuff, okay? Just let me know if we need to go back or if you feel like you need more practice, definitely let me know. But I'll try and have a little bit more ready today. Okay, so we kind of left up here, right? And so hopefully everyone's seeing line A is our vertical line, so the slope is 0. Line C, right, is our vertical line, which means it has an undefined slope. Okay, line B, seems how it's moving downward from left to right, is a negative slope. And line D has a very steep slope, right? And we can kind of see, right? B is not a very large slope, but D is a very steep slope. But it's still moving in an upward direction from left to right, so it has positive slope. Okay. Okay, so we're going to go to part 2. Okay. Okay, and so it says find the numerical value of the slope of line E, right? Okay. Find the numerical slope value of the slope of line E and then identify the X and the Y intercepts. Okay. So what does anyone know what we should do here? How are we going to find the numerical slope? How do we calculate the slope of the line? Does anyone have an idea?
It's like 1, 2, 3, and then stuff like that. And then you just kind of keep repeating it.
Kind of.
Or do we use the numbers that are given like?
Yeah, since they've given us these 2 points, yeah, we can definitely use those 2 points. So yeah, so in order to calculate the slope of a line, we have to know 2 points. Now they've told us the points. Okay, probably GED level question, you're just going to see the line and you're going to have to choose 2 points. Doesn't matter which 2 points you choose, but it's always good, right, to choose points that are whole numbers, right, as opposed to somewhere in the line that's like not a whole number. Does that make sense, right? So where it crosses the corner is going to be whole number values. Okay, so it's always nice when they give us, right, the and then you can see here, sorry, not on the previous page. Well, I guess they don't. So there is a formula that we're going to use to calculate it, but basically we're going to take the change in Y. So we need to have 2 points to calculate that change. And then we're going to divide that by the change in X. Okay, so let me go get my pencil case so I can actually write. And then it'll be better. So just think of that for a second. And if you want to remember, you also need to find the points for the x-intercept, which would be, right, the point of the line that crosses the x-axis, and also the point of the y-intercept, right? So while I'm going and running and grabbing my pencil case, see if you can find the points that represent the x-intercept and the y-intercept, okay? And I will be right back. All right. Okay. Did anyone figure out the point that represents the x intercept?
2 and 0,
Pardon?
2 and 0.
Good. So hopefully everyone agrees, right? This point right here is the one that, right, corresponds with our x-intercept. So we're gonna have, right, some kind of numerical value representing x. X is at 2 and y is at 0. Excellent, Kevin. Hi, Jada Ray. Hopefully that's how you say your name. If not, you are welcome to unmute and correct me. I'm not sure if you've joined our classes before. We have an electronic sign-in sheet. I'm gonna paste that into the Zoom chat. And so you would click on the link in the Zoom chat. It'll open up an internet browser and open an online PDF. And so you can open that up. You can put 3 p.m. as the time out, sign and submit, and then you're signed in for class and ready to go. And then let me know if you were in class on Wednesday or not. And if not, I can send you at least a link to these materials as well. So good. So that's our x-intercept. And so you could use, right? You could use this point as well, right? It is a point on our line. So we could use this point instead of these two, calculate our slope if we wanted. All right, what's our y-intercept point?
0 and -4.
So then, right, the part of the line that is crossing through our vertical, right, is right here. It's at y equals -4 and, right, x is 0. Definitely an important piece. Now, let's get back to slope, okay? And so, if you kind of peek down at question 4, they give you the example. They don't give you the official formula, but hopefully you can see that in order to calculate slope, you need 2 points. And you basically designate one set of points as kind of points 1, right? Or point 1, so x1, y1. And then you call the second set of points x2, y2, right? So you have your 2 points. Then you calculate the change by subtracting 1 point from the, right, your 2 y values from each other. And then on the bottom, right, you're subtracting your x values. And then once you've done your subtracting, right, 6 minus 1 is 5, 4 minus 3 is 1, 5 divided by 1 is 5. So we know that the slope, if the line crosses these 2 points, its slope is +5. Okay. So when we actually look at it on your GED formula sheet that you'll have for your test, the formula looks like this. If you don't know 2 points on the line, you cannot do this, okay? But if you have the line, it just means they're probably going to give you those choosing 2 points, right? And it looks, there's our 2. Sometimes they choose for us, which is nice. Not so much, okay? So we've got our 2 points, okay? And like we said, so in algebra, and oh, I forgot to check to learn this, and I think we've already talked about this a little bit, right? But they use m to mean slope, okay? They use the variable m to represent the concept of slope, and we're going to see m in some other formulas that we're going to use to do all our calculating. And so, yeah, so So we'll need that. So if you see like M in one of these line thingies, it's referring to the slope of the line, okay? And so in order to calculate slope, we take, right, the change in Y and divide it by the change in X, okay? Okay, so basically, right, this chunk is one of our points. And a point 2, so it has a y2 coordinate and an x2 coordinate. And then I know that. That's what I did wrong, shoot. Or no, this is the x down here, sorry. That's what I did wrong. Sorry, guys. That. All right, there we go. Mom. My shadowy hands from out of the way. Okay, and so we're gonna call that 0.1. Okay. And once again, it doesn't matter which point I call 0.1 and 2, but if you think about it, and if you get to decide, you do have to subtract the numbers. I usually try and choose the larger of my points to be 0.2 and the smaller values of to be 0.1, because it just makes the subtraction easier. Sometimes it's going to be ugly and annoying, right? Because you're going to have minus a minus. It's going to be like, okay, but we can try and make it as easy on ourselves as possible. So does everyone see how, let me zoom out this. So, right, so this is kind of like the written way of writing the formula, and here's the fancy algebra way. So M, or slope, is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Shoot, Jesus, cheese and rice. Sorry about that. I knew I wrote that down in pencil for a reason. Look at you go. I haven't been on vacation. You go on vacation and learn on top of it. So anyway, hopefully this makes sense, right? So the change, why is the change the slope? Well, we can see, well, we will be able to kind of visually see this in a moment. Okay, so let's go back to problem 2. Okay, so we've got our 2 lines here. Okay, so like I said, I usually look at my 2 points and I'm like, oh, this value looks kind of bigger than these ones. So I'm going to call this x2 and this one y2, and I'm going to call this x1 and y1. Okay. y1. x2, y. And remember, this is just 0.1 and 0.2. Okay. All right. So then, right, I take my y2, which is 4, minus my y1, which is -2. So that's minus 2. Okay. Because remember, this minus is part of the formula. This minus is the value of the y down here. Okay. All right, and then over, right, x2, which is 4, minus x1, which is 1. Okay. So now, right, I do my subtraction on the top and the bottom, and then we'll simplify the fraction or do some division. Okay. What's 4 minus -2? Yep, Very nice. Guys, feel like you need practice knowing that? Let me know. And then, right, 4 minus 1 is 3. What's 6 divided by 2? So the slope is 2. Okay. And we could check that by using our, right, our y and x intercepts here. So, right, -4, 0. So, right? So with both points, right, and that's how you check your slope, right? You could choose 2 other points, but slope is always constant, right? And that's why the line is straight and diagonal, right? It's for every, right? For every 2 vertical, we go 1 for horizontal, right? Up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1. Okay? And that's what a slope of 2 tells us. We're rising 2 and we're running 1. Huh? All right. Does calculating slope feel like it's doable for everyone?
Yeah.
Or should we do it? Can you guys do number 3 on your own? Try. Okay. Thanks. So yeah. So first, remember, calculate your slope by using the 2 points they give you. And then, right, look at the line, figure out where the x and the y intercepts are. I'll give you guys a few minutes to try this on your own. If you feel stuck or lost, just chill for a little bit, okay? And we're going to talk about it. 3 minutes. All right, does anyone want or need more time to work on number 3? Or did you guys get a few things down? Ready to talk?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so we have our 2 points, right, to find the slope. Now, this one definitely wasn't quite as clean and nice, so hopefully you guys are kind of seeing how important. Not pleasant, but it's nothing we can do with that. Oh, nothing I know. Okay, so we've got our 2 points, so, and they're kind of a mix here, so I don't think it matters, but I'll call this one x2, y2. And then I'm gonna call this x1, y1. So I start with my y's, right? So y2, 6 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. Okay. So 6 minus -2 would be +8. Okay. And then -3 minus another 3 is going to give me -6. Okay. And hopefully everyone saw, right, that the slope is going to be negative, right, from the shape of the line. Good. Can 8/6 be reduced?
Yeah.
Yeah, what does it reduce to?
2/3, 2/-3.
Shouldn't it be 4?
Actually, 4.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. 4. And so you can think of it as negative 3/4 slope, or you could have positive 4 over negative 3. Yeah, both are correct, but good, right? So if it doesn't like divide evenly, right, into a whole number, a lot of times our slope is going to be a fraction like this. And so remember that we're going to rise 4, right? So if I go 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's negative 3, so I'm going to go to the right. 1, 2, 3. A 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then right 3, 1, 2, 3. So you see how the slope works and how it follows the line, right?
That's what I was talking about.
Yeah, I
It's like-
know,
it's
it's
like-
really hard to explain, yeah, so it's like, right? Go up. So, right, the slope is constant, right? The change between the points stays the same, and that's the shape. Okay. You guys feeling about calculating? You feel like you can? Good. And so, I mean, if you're more visual, you could have figured it out if you wanted to try and do this, I don't zigzaggy way of trying to figure out the slope. You know, like, right, how much are you increasing? And then remember, if you're going from to the right, then it's negative, right? If your x is going to the left, it'll be positive. Okay. And then tricky too. What did you guys say is the x-intercept? What does x equal? What's between 1 and 2? Mhm. Yeah, so we'd probably say, right, that x equals 1.5,
Mhm.
and then, right, y still equals 0, right? What? And then our x-intercept's up here. What is our x-intercept? Y equal, or sorry, x equals 0. What is y equal?
2.
Positive 2. Good. Okay. All right, and yeah, okay. Questions? Everyone with me okay? No one's curled up in a ball crying on the. It's okay if you are, I just need to know, because I don't want you to continue in that posture. All right, let's take a 10-minute break, so we'll take a break, and then we'll just keep grinding through this for now, but I really, this has to be solid, because we're gonna have to build, and if we don't make it solid, it's gonna get shakier and shakier, okay, for everyone, much for me to read, but let's definitely take a little brain break. So we'll take a break until 2:10, and then we'll hop back into it, okay? All right.
10 minutes?
10 minutes. You need longer? Okay.
She's like,
I got this one, but this one I like slacked off on this one.
Yeah, I mean, it is confusing and it's not one that we had talked about yet. So yeah, I was not expecting everyone to quite grasp that. But does it make sense why that's the value of X?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would discover.
And that's why, for the most part, we're gonna be working with the full number of points. But it is possible to have parts of points that are, or non-full number points. Man, I need better. guess I gave you guys an extra 2 minutes, at least according to the computer. Hopefully you're finding your from break. So I think it is important that we just keep practicing. So if you're back and ready to go ahead and jump to number 4, incomplete B, C, and D. Okay. And remembering the formula. That was not the right button. Okay. Okay. So you got points. Go ahead and work on those 3. Let me know when you're ready to talk. And then we'll just keep cruising. Eddie, we're just continuing with number 4 once you get settled, okay? So just do B, C, and D. So now you just need to use those 2 points to calculate the slope of each. Okay? Once you're settled. No more rush. Oh, thank you. Sorry, just saw that. So I'm gonna put a link to the where our sorry, I'm gonna put a link in the chat too. Okay, this is our class Google Drive. You can also access this material on our class Canvas page. I haven't dedicated the time. I'm looking around a bit. But hopefully you can click on that and see where we're at. This was from last Wednesday's class. If you were with Claudine, she was subbing for me. But if not, hopefully you can at least open it. I usually have paper copies available at the Flagstaff campus. If you don't have access to printing, I can also have my colleagues in Page print it if that's closer for you. But hopefully you can get it. And then we're on, well, it says page 113, which would be like it's the back of the 4th page, which I guess would be page 8 on the PDF. You know, oh, and I'm not sharing the screen, which is why we can't see what I'm talking about. Oh, that hopefully that helps too. Oh goodness. Okay, I promise I'll get back. No, I shouldn't promise. It's not. All right, Eddie? Are you just getting everything all jumbled up? It can be overwhelming.
Yeah, you know.
Well, thanks for hanging in there. We're all having a Monday. Gotta restart our
Really,
brains.
right? I'm so tired. I don't know why.
Not frustrating, yeah. Like I slept in yesterday. Went better.
Exactly, and I'm still tired. I'm like,
It's
why
not
am I so
fair.
tired?
I did all the things.
I tried to say, like you said, it was a Monday, but then I was like, nah.
I know. Be nice to me. So yeah, we don't really turn in our work for any kind of grade, so I would say, just kind of using these little packet worksheets that we go through together in class to take notes and refer back to and stuff like that. So because you're working on it in class, you're getting your attendance hours in your time. So you don't necessarily need to turn it in. You can kind of check your own answers with us as we go through the answers. If you want extra work to do outside of class, just let me know and I can give you some and you're welcome to turn that in. And I can give you more attendance hours for that extra work, but yeah, you don't need to turn anything in. Just be with us and work with us when we're working, if that's okay with you, so. And most of these, I also try to put the answers in the back, so if you missed class or if you were working on your own, you could still check your answers. It took me a long time to learn that if you've met any of my. Oh crap, I forgot the answers. Now we're not sure. It's awful. It's what you get when an English teacher starts teaching math. I'm like, oh yeah, there's like actual right and wrong answers. So hopefully that answered your question. But let me know.
Okay, and my name is Jadare, but if that's kind of hard to pronounce, you can call me Jade.
Thank you, appreciate it. I will do my
Yep, you're welcome.
yeah, I'll do my best. But welcome. We'll get more into the logistics of stuff probably on Wednesday. Do you know your Comet ID and password?
Yeah, I do. I already logged into the GED Canvas. So yeah.
Cool, good. So I try to keep our current materials on the Canvas page for the classes as well. So this document was on there, but yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Luckily, I don't have to collect assignments. I don't have to grade stuff unless you need me to. It's pretty nice. All right, does anyone need more time on these three? I kind of set them up for you if you were feeling stuck. And like I said, I mean, sometimes the hardest part, yeah, is right, knowing how to put your 4 numbers right into the formula to do your calculations. Okay, and so these ones were like, I mean, once again, I always try and take the ones with like the bigger values to be x2 and y2 because that's how I'm going to start my subtraction. It will work either way. It'll just be easier one way. B, right? We know that, right? We took our x2, 4 minus 2, wow, it's 2. 1 minus 0 is 1, so our slope is 2 for B. And I don't know why I'm writing 2 styles of 2, but apparently that's what I'm doing today. All right, number C, letter C, 5 minus 2 is 3. 2 minus 1 is -3, so we know that our slope is -1. Okay. And then these pretty straightforward, seems that one of our points is going through the origin, but here, right, the slope is 2/3. Did you guys get those?
Yeah.
Awesomeness, very, very nice. Cool. So yeah, so slope. Okay, and remember if it's this fraction slope, then that means we rise 2, right? And then we run +3, so we're moving to the left. If it's -1, right? We're always rising, but the negative tells us do we run to the right if it's negative, or to the left if it's negative, run to the right if it's okay. All right, questions, confusion, problems? I know. Wait, which way are we going in? Are we going the past or the future? Okay,
Well, we can do our mistakes.
yeah, exactly. Well, that's why we're in class first, right? Class is our time machine.
Right.
I like that. All right. Okay. So graphing. All right, so as I said, so we're gonna see this fancy term linear equation, and so this is a specific type of algebraic equation that we're gonna be working on for probably a good chunk of time. I always write, so whenever you see this word linear, right here, right, is your clue that we're talking about points, and we're talking about connecting those points and making a line. We're talking about slope. Okay, so anytime you see this idea of graphing and linear, think of your coordinate grid, think of all of those pieces. Okay. Equation looks like this. Okay. And so this might, well, actually, it's not might, it will look different from the equations that we've already practiced, right? We practiced 1 and 2 step equations. And the biggest difference in our 1 and 2 step equation is that they only have 1 variable, but here you can see we have 2 variables in our equation. So we have to know a value for y and a value for x, okay? And so yeah, so you kind of have to view this as, right, this is your y coordinate points, depending on your line, and this is your x coordinate point, depending on your line. So sometimes, right, we're gonna have a point, and we're gonna plug it into an equation, right, and test and see if you got it. So we're gonna plug in a value for x, plug in a value for y, and z, okay? The other important things to notice about this, okay, is that this has a special name. Okay, and so when we talk about linear equations, there's a couple of different forms that they can take. This is the most famous and the most common form that we'll see. I know I'm building up a lot of attention here. And so we call this might have had it. Okay, there's a couple of other forms that linear equations can take, but this form is going to be the most helpful and the most useful, or it's going to be kind of like the standard form of our answer, something like that. And so when they write this form out, and you guys might have heard this, this is on your GED formula sheet, but famously known as y equals mx plus b. Okay, so in this slope intercept form, right, we have 4 pieces. We have a y, we have what in this equation is 3, but here, right, M equals 3. What's M? You guys remember what M is? M stands for?
Slope.
Good, right? So of course, it's called the slope intercept form because, right, slope is in the equation of the line. It's part of this equation. So once again, if we don't know the slope, right, then we have to go to 2 points on our line and calculate that in order to know what value to put in our equation for n. Okay? Does everyone kind of see how, right? So whatever is stuck onto the x in your slope intercept form linear equation, that's the slope. Okay, slope is stuck on the x. Okay, and of course you'll notice that, right? We put numbers, right? We'll have a value for the slope, yet x and y stay x and y because, right, the line has many points. Can I help you, Pat? Oh, I get to sign. Okay. Maybe some linear algebra. Yeah. All right. So yeah, so then of course, the last thing that we have here is, right, this chunk here, the -1, which is the same as the B in our form. Okay, and so B, the value that's B. Right. B is what we call it the y-intercept. So if you guys remember from what we worked on previously, right? All of our lines, if they have some kind of slope, are going to somehow or sometime cross our axes. And so this value right here, the value of y in our y-intercept is what we call B in our slope intercept form. Okay, so for this line, our M is -4/3 and our B is 2. So the equation of this line is y equals, what's our slope? -4/3 x plus our B, which is +2. Okay, so when we have an equation of the line, we need to figure out the slope and we need to figure out what the value of y is when x is 0. Okay, so when x is 0, right? 0 times -4/3 is 0. So y equals +2. Right? If we plug in 0, right, for y. And if we plug in +2 for, sorry, if we plug in 0 for x and 2 for y, right, then that equation is true. Okay. So when you see an equation that looks like this, generally it's going to be our linear equation because we have the 2 variables, right? Our x and y points on our coordinate grid. And then, oh, Lauren. And then, right, we need to know our x or our y-intercept. Goodness gracious. Okay. So hopefully that's not too confusing. We're not quite here yet, but I want you guys to also write, because there's always going to be that visual component, the line itself, right, the slope of the line. And that is, right, numerically, algebraically translated into this equation. So this is a line. Okay.
Our minds have been blown.
All right. Probably not that. All right. Okay. So hopefully everyone's feeling good. So you might see then a problem where you're given an equation, right? And you have to go from equation to the line. And of course, in order to graph or draw the line, you have to, right, locate, like I said, generally, it's easier to locate 3 points just to make sure that your line's pretty and straight. Drawing a line with 2 points is definitely possible, but it's, you leave yourself open for error, or at least I leave myself open for error. Maybe you guys are much better at drawing straight than me. Okay, so if you have the equation, here's what you do, okay? So here's our equation, y equals 3x minus 1. So we know that this is a line, okay? So all we have to do is basically choose 3 values for x, right? And this goes back to what we talked about in our basic algebra, right? With our functions, right? This is the same thing, right? X is our input. We input it into our equation, which acts like our function. And when we know what, right, we can figure out what y equals when we give x a value. So when x is 0, y equals -1. So now I know that one of the points on this line is 0, -1. How do I know that? Well, I took my equation, I set x at 0, and then I calculated. 3 times 0 is 0, 0 minus 1 is -1. Okay, so now I have a point on my line. Okay, so this is where I start. Okay, so then I want to plot that point and then, right, choose another value for x. So 0, 1, and 2 are really easy, right? So do that. Okay. So when x is 1, y is +2, right? 3 times 1 is 3, 3 minus 1 is 2. Okay. So when x is 1, y is 2. So we can make up a value for x and use that to calculate the y that corresponds with it. Does everyone feel good about using the equation to find points on the line? Does that make sense? And you could probably do it backward as well, but it's easier to set x values than y values since, right, y equals. Okay, otherwise we'd have to do like algebra. Ooh. Right, but it would work either way, right? Y or 5 equals 3x minus 1, right? X still equals 2. Okay. You can do it either way, but usually easier to choose 3 x values, use those to determine your y values. Now you have 3 points on the line, plot the points on your grid, and then, right, form or connect the dots into a line. Okay, so here is the line that corresponds with this equation. Okay, it has a slope of 3, right? So we go up 3 over 1, up 3. Okay, and it has an x-intercept of -1, right? Where does it cross the y-axis? At 0, -1. So B, our y-intercept is -1. Questions? So so as we get into this more and more, we're constantly gonna kind of be moving between the visual and the algebraic. Okay. So it's important to both see like the visual piece and the kind of numerical calculating piece. Okay. All right. So go ahead and try this here. Okay. So here's your equation. Okay. And notice here, if it's just y equals x minus 2. Remember, right? Right? There's no,
So it's 0?
not 0, 1. Good. So if it's just x by itself, your m is like that secret hiding little 1 in front of the x, right? Because we have 1x. Okay. So the slope is 1. Okay. But go ahead and do this thing. Okay. So when x is 0, what is y? When x is 2, what is y? When x is 5, what is y? And then you have 3 points, right? Yep, so once you know your 3 points, right? Then you're gonna find them on the grid. And then I don't know where my rulers are, but hopefully you know, you too much wanting it to be beautiful and straight like our printed. And then yeah. So graph the equation. So when it says graph the equation, it means, right, draw the line. And I'm trying to think. Question that has you actually draw the line. But draw the line. Good, puts hair on your chest. That's what my mom always said about eating vegetables. Very motivating.
It's like, I don't want coffee, now I want your chips. Oh my God.
Yeah. Man, okay.
If you don't like coffee, I've never known anything not like coffee. I even tried to like bind it in flavors and it's like, no, it's like it's too bitter.
Interesting. I wonder if I like beer. Cool. Gonna give, you guys still need another 2 minutes or so? Eddie, are you still working a little bit? Okay. You folks on Zoom need any more time or are we ready to? Or you get too chatty. Great. Not hearing anything, so. Cool, so hopefully this made sense again, right? So we take our equation. And we say when x equals 0, what does y equal? That means y equals 0 minus 2, so we know that, right? When x is 0, y is -2, so that's our first point. X is 0 and y is -2. Okay. All right, when x is 2, right, then y equals 0 because 2 minus 2 is 0. So that's our next point. 2, 0. Okay. And when x is 5, right? When x is 5, when x is 5, right? Then y is 5 minus 2 is 3. Okay. So positive 5. Okay. And we would just connect the dots. Ta, ta, si, ta.
Good at drawing lines.
Woo! I cheated, I used my note card, but yes. I really make the effort, right? But yes, thank you. Cool, so we could have calculated the slope with these points, but we don't have to because we already have our slope or our slope intercept form equation here, but you still would be able to get the slope of 1. Okay. Hopefully that makes sense, right? That little invisible one there, okay, and then right, we know that if this is our equation, right, then we know that the x-intercept is at 0, -2, right, and we can confirm that on our line, right, when x is 0, y is -2, and then, right, we can see here from our point here, when y is 0, our x-intercept is positive. Okay. So, yeah. How does this feel to everyone? Any questions or concerns? Speak now or forever hold. No, you don't have to forever hold. Don't forever. Speak now, because there's time. Otherwise, save your question for later. Okay. Like I said, we're just really wanting to ease slowly into this, before things up, and because it's gonna get more complex. And so hopefully that all of this box makes sense. Okay, here's our equation, right? So if we start with the equation, we need to find 3 points in order to graph our line. And hopefully everyone feels good about the significance of the x-intercept and the y-intercept, and feeling good about this concept of slope, right? A characteristic of the line. All right, so there's 3 more practice problems on the next page that will finish up this chunk. So why don't you guys spend the last 10 minutes of class working on these? Okay, sorry for my bleeding markers. But go ahead and work on these on your own, okay? See how it goes. It's the same thing we just did, okay? So there's your equation. Okay, choose, and like I said, 0, 1, and 2 are pretty good choices for x, right? Use those values of x in your equation to figure out when x is what, y is what, okay? And then from there, once again, right, you already know the slope. What's the slope of this line? 1, right? Because once again, right, x is by itself. And then we know that b is +2, so that means, right, that the y-intercept is 0, 2. Okay, so just from the equation gives us a lot of information about what the line looks like.
Excuse me.
What's up?
Hi. Can you send me the link that you sent me in the chat to my email?
Yeah,
Okay, I'll put my email in the chat and you can send that to me.
all right. So we'll start on Wednesday. We'll start by going through the answers for 2, 3, and 4. So if you didn't have a chance to finish it in the last moments of class, try to have it ready. Okay, and I'll trying to decide. We might go back to our basic algebra packet now that we've kind of laid this foundation that wasn't as clearly laid in our other lesson. But if not, I'll be in touch with everyone before Wednesday's class, and we're gonna continue and kind of live in this topic for a while. It's a big piece, so cool. All right, guys. Thank you for all of your hard work and attention today. And definitely you can contact me on Remind or email me if you guys need anything specific. No, anything before we're finished? Great, that was plenty, huh? Gonna be dreaming about lines.
It's gonna say your name. It's never ending. Oh no, it's a negative. So no, it's not.
Let's carry on. Okay. Take care. All right, so
You're gonna be in tomorrow, right?
yep,
Oh, okay, I'll see you tomorrow then.
okay. Half at 10 if you want to join us.
No, I'll be here tomorrow morning.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah.
Wednesday, I gotta get this checked.
Yes.
He called me, but we had a bad connection.
Oh, no,
So
And-
that's when I was on the phone on the hallway.
no problem.
It just broke off.
Yeah, oh, bummer. Yeah,
All right, we'll see you tomorrow.
sounds good. Take care. Bye, Lauren. I'll see you later. Take care.